What if the universe was crafted by an all-powerful being, meticulously designed, like a cosmic machine? And what if the universe were that being, not created by God, but God itself, unfolding in time? What if you were a soul, distinct and separate, placed in a body given freedom to choose, to doubt, to believe? And what if your mind, your body, your identity, were nothing but ripples on the surface of something much vaster, a single substance, infinite and indivisible, watching itself through your eyes? Two men dared to answer these questions, two minds, brilliant, stubborn, visionary, standing at the edge of the unknowable and reaching for truth. René Descartes, Baruch Spinoza, the father of doubt, the mystic of unity. Their visions would collide across centuries. Their differences would split the roots of philosophy, but both would ask the same haunting question: what is real, and who are we inside it? In the 1600s, as Europe shifted into the age of reason, a man sat alone in a room, determined to doubt everything he knew: his senses, unreliable; his body, possibly an illusion; even the earth beneath him, maybe a dream, or the trick of a deceiving God. He was not insane. He was René Descartes, and he was on a sacred mission to find one truth that could not be shaken. So he burned everything down, every belief, every assumption, every shadow of certainty, until one flame remained. I think, therefore I am. Cogito, ergo sum. Here, Descartes found the unmovable foundation. If he was thinking, even doubting, then someone must exist to do the doubting. The thinking self became the anchor, a soul, a mind, a res cogitans, a thing that thinks. The body, that was something else entirely, matter, extension, res extensa, a machine made of parts, obedient to physical laws, and thus Descartes carved the world in two: mind and body, soul and matter, one infinite, immaterial, indivisible, the other finite, measurable, destined to decay. He called it dualism, a metaphysical wall between spirit and flesh. But how then could they interact? How does a thought move a hand? How does a soul command a body? Descartes suggested a tiny gland in the brain. The pineal gland is the supposed bridge between the physical and the mental. A bold idea, and a mystery that still stirs debate centuries later. Above it all, Descartes placed God, not as an idea or a metaphor, but as a rational personal being, a perfect creator who made the world like a clockmaker crafts a timepiece, precise, mathematical, ordered. And this God, external, absolute, guaranteed that the mind could trust reason. That truth was not an illusion. That thought was not madness. For Descartes, truth came from the top down. God gave the gift of reason. The soul used it to question the world, and from that questioning, clarity would emerge. It was a vision of intellectual sovereignty, a universe made of parts, a self that stood outside of chaos and made sense of it. To Descartes, freedom was rooted in free will, the capacity of the soul to choose, to believe, to resist illusion. He built a fortress. Inside it, the thinking mind reigned supreme, safe, certain, separate. But outside that fortress, another philosopher was walking in the rain, breathing with the wind, and seeing something very different. In Amsterdam, Baruch Spinoza was excommunicated, expelled from his Jewish community, branded a heretic, a danger, a mind too dangerous to be contained. His crime, saying that God did not exist above the world, but as the world. Deus sive natura, God, or nature, not two things, one. For Spinoza, there were not two substances, there was only one, infinite, eternal, indivisible. Call it God, call it nature, call it substance. It is, and everything that exists, every mind, every tree, every star, it is simply a mode of this one infinite being. Mind and body, not separate, just two expressions of the same reality, two attributes of the one substance. The soul is not in the body is not in the soul, Both are the same thing seen through different lenses. Spinoza rejected free will, not to enslave us, but to free us from illusion. Everything that happens, he said, happens by necessity, just as fire burns, just as rain falls, just as stars follow gravity. So too do thoughts, emotions, and actions arise from infinite causes. To be free is not to resist the order, but to understand it, to align with it, to see that you are not separate from the whole but an expression of it. Where Descartes began in doubt, Spinoza began in unity. Where Descartes believed in a God who rules, Spinoza believed in a God who is. Where Descartes sought certainty, Spinoza found peace. He didn't want to build a fortress, he wanted to remove the walls. Two philosophers, two ways of seeing. One gave us the sharp edges of logic, the other the soft light of the eternal. Descartes tells you, you are a mind in a machine. Spinoza whispers, you are the infinite, pretending to be small. And now, you are standing at the crossroads between them. In part 2, we'll walk that road. We'll explore what it means to live as a separate soul, or as the cosmos awakens through human eyes, because the truth may not be found in choosing a side, but in seeing the whole. Two men, two maps of the universe. One begins in the isolation of thought, building truth from the mind outward. The other dissolves the walls of identity, merging the thinker with the world. René Descartes believed you are a soul, suspended in a machine. Baruch Spinoza saw you as a wave, one expression of a divine ocean. So which are you, a sovereign self who chooses, or a moment of God flowing through form? Let's step into the fire where their philosophies collide. For Descartes, God was a perfect being, outside the universe, watching, guiding, the source of logic and moral law. He builds the world like a clockmaker builds a timepiece, and step back to let it tick. But for Spinoza, God is not the cause of the universe. God is the universe, the tree, the wind, the light in your eyes. All of it is God expressing itself. There is nothing outside of God. There is nothing God watches from afar. There is only one. Descartes says, you are a soul, discrete, separate, suspended above chaos. Your thoughts are yours. Your choices define your essence. He gives you a fortress. Within it, your reason is sovereign. You are the author of your life. Spinoza says, you are not separate. You are a mode of a single infinite being. Your choices, your thoughts, your emotions, they unfold as naturally as gravity or fire. He offers no fortress, only a vast field, a boundless unity where the wind moves through you and you move with it. Descartes champions free will, the divine gift of choice, to believe, to love, to doubt. The soul, like a god, can rise above instinct. But Spinoza, he says, there is no free will, only freedom from illusion. You do not control the wind, but when you understand the wind, you can sail. To know is to be free, not because you change the world, but because you no longer fight its nature. One path is clear, structured, and rational. The other is vast, impersonal, breathtaking. Descartes gives you certainty, built from doubt, built from within. Spinoza gives you peace, born of surrender, born of seeing the whole. Descartes speaks to the individual. Spinoza speaks to the cosmic. One builds up the self, the other lets it go. So, which leads to the truth? Perhaps the question is not which philosopher is right, but when. Maybe you must begin as Descartes did, by burning falsehood to the ground, by questioning everything, by finding the only thing that cannot be doubted. You are aware. And then, once the illusion is cleared, once the false has fallen away, you awaken into Spinoza. You see that the one who watches is not apart from the world. It is the world, looking at itself through you, the drop. It was never separate from the ocean. So, where does that leave you? Maybe you are the mind, learning to see clearly, building a path through reason, and maybe you are the cosmos, remembering itself through every breath, every question, every moment of awareness. Descartes says, "You are a thinker in the dark." Spinoza says, "You are the light that the darkness cannot contain." And you? You stand between them, not to choose sides, but to see more deeply, not to believe, but to perceive, not to define truth, but to become it. In the end, the question is not philosophical, it's spiritual. Are you alone in the universe, or is the universe alive inside you? Two paths, one reality, one begins in doubt, the other ends in unity, and in the middle, there is you, the mirror, the witness, the one who watches thought, and becomes aware of being. So breathe, pause, watch, and remember, you are not the one seeking the truth. You are the truth, remembering itself